2 years in a row down to state. What's that mean for this program in the microscopic sense of this team this year and the macro sense of where the trend is of Cedar Falls tennis?
Yeah, I mean, we're really excited. It's the first time in program history that we've qualified as a team for state 2 years in a row. So I think that's really exciting. It's really due a lot to the seniors that we've had and the leadership that they've had. I mean, 5 of our top 6 this year, 5 of our top 7, I guess, but are seniors, and so that class really leaves a good mark and a good path for us to follow. But we do have losing them next year is going to be it's going to be a little bit of a drop off, obviously, for hopefully just a year, and then we'll be right back at it again in 2 years. I hope so.
What changed, thinking back to how the guys came in the 2023 season compared to the 2024 season? Was there a shift in mindset once they had made it to state that, like, this is the standard now? Was that kind of how they entered the season?
Yeah, I think pretty much all of our players expected to be here this year, expected to be at state this year. So I think that's a little bit different in the mindset, but I also think that it can be one of those things you have to overcome as well, because it's just as hard to get back there the next year as it was the previous year. So I've been really pleased in the way that they've come around and been able to kind of fight through that part of it, and just kind of that learning experience of realizing that just because you earned it once, it's not going to get given to you a second time. So I think they've done a nice job with that this year.
Kind of expanding on that, did that give them more confidence when they were playing? Because tennis is such a mental game, and you need to have a lot of confidence, or your game's going to go to pot real quick. Did they play with a lot more confidence having that state qualifier 2023 banner hanging in the gym or whatever?
Yeah, and I think that part of that, I think again, like kind of at the beginning of the year, we kind of work through some of the overconfidence type issues, and then they've really done a great job late in the season of getting their level back up to where it needs to be, and really digging into their matches. So I've been really pleased in the last couple of weeks of how they've played and performed, and been able to bring that level to where it needs to be. So.
It was another hard-fought sub-state final. It went down to the wire.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what it's like to be in kind of some white knucklers 2 years in a row now.
Yeah. So yeah, last year it almost. I mean, it was difficult last year. All the matches were close, but it was nice last year going 5-0. I would say that probably Mason City's team last year probably. Was just about the same as the team that we played this year, but we lost a couple of seniors last year, and we struggled a little bit at our lower positions. The top 4 this year, though, they came in and took care of business in singles. I think we dropped only 8 games in singles among our top 4 positions, which is Ben and then the 3 seniors. So they did a really nice job of Mason City. Everything was like super close, and then this year just coming in and taking care of business for the older kids. You can see that growth and that ability to just come in and do things. Dowling, a team that hasn't been to state for a while, and didn't have kids that were experienced in that, so you can see that come through, and that was really nice. And then we were up 4-1, and then we were almost ready to win the first set at 6, and then lost. They just got nervous with one of our players that's not quite as experienced, and then in doubles coming all the way down to splitting sets in the number 1 doubles. But again, we had two of our seniors there, 2 of the most experienced players that we had, and they were ready to come out in that 3rd set and finish things up. So.
Touched on it a couple of times. Talk about what the state experience last year is going to do helping this team this year, where last year it was brand new to everybody. This year it's not brand new to everybody.
Yeah, so I think this year just a lot of knowing what to expect, right? You kind of go down last year and not really understand like how practice plans work, where you're going to be. You're staying in a hotel, like we don't do that very often. And then you're getting up early. There's pictures, then there's wait time, and being able to like just kind of understand how that works. The state also has changed formats for the boys as of last year, which to be more like what the girls have done for years, and that's having the team play out its own bracket. And so that part of it, and understanding how that's going to work at state. Last year we got in a situation where not all the first round matches were off the courts, and we ended up having to start 3 singles players, and then wait to put our second 3 singles players on, format that we'd never played before. The state didn't really tell anybody about it, or that it was going to be played that way before. And so those kind of adjustments, and realizing that even when you get to state, nothing's going to be perfect, and that you just have to be flexible and then ready to go out and play your game when it's ready to happen. I think those kind of things. Not letting it throw you off your mental game when there's quick changes, or there's weather, or I know we experienced this with individuals the other day. We started indoors, kind of had the mindset we were going to play indoors, and then it got moved outdoors because it was okay in Iowa City, but just realizing that when it comes to state, all of those things can change rapidly, and then you just got to lock into your mental game and play tennis. And I think that'll be the difference this year versus last year, from a mental toughness standpoint for our kids.
Finally, talking about the experience last year, you come in as a lower seed, playing a higher seed last year.
Yep.
Same situation this year.
Mm-hmm.
Having to go up against somebody who's the favorite in that
Yeah.
match right away.
Yeah.
What did the experience last year kind of teach the guys as in terms of playing as an underdog, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's that we can compete, right? Because we came out last year, and probably nobody thought we would even compete. Iowa City West, that we lost to last year, ends up winning the state championship, and we ended up, we had one of our players, our number 6 last year, almost won his match. He was just a couple points away from winning when they pulled us off at 5-0, and then everybody, like 4 of our other 5 players, started the match up 2 or 3 games. They might have been a little nervous, or we just came out ready to play. And I think just understanding that we can compete at that level and come out and do something against those guys, hopefully will give us a little more motivation to be ready and capitalize on that this time around. So,
back-to-back state tournament trips to close out your high school career. First time Cedar Falls has been able to do that. To be a part of that in your final 2 years of high school, just talk about what that kind of means to you.
It really means a lot, considering I've played tennis for a really long time, and when you're playing USTA tournaments, it's really just you versus all your opponents. But when you're on a team, it's you and the team against all the teams you play. So it feels great to be able to do this with a team and a group of guys that, I've really grown to be friends with, and, they're like brothers to me on the court. So it feels really great to go back-to-back with them.
Ben mentioned that this is a really competitive group, not necessarily with each other, but a competitive group in general. Talk about how that's kind of helped you guys get to state 2 years in a row.
So our competitive nature, like when we're just on court, even when we're just like rallying and hitting during practice, we try winning points against each other. And because of this competitive nature, we really just drive each other to be better. It's like that saying that steel sharpens steel. And it's kind of like that when like one person starts getting better, then, all the other people are also aiming to be better too. And so we kind of all lift each other up.
You had a pretty unique mindset going into last year, as the team was an underdog and you were an underdog in your individual singles match. Is that the same mindset you're bringing in this year, or have you kind of changed your mindset now that you kind of have the experience of last year and what that's going to look like?
It really is that same mindset, because this year we did end up drawing the number 1 team in the state. So they're really good, but that also means that we go in with not as much pressure as they do, because they have to beat us. We really, there's no expectation on us, so we all can go out and we can go out and play. And so that's kind of just play freely and see how it goes.
I know you told me last year, but for this story, reiterate what playing freely, what does that allow you to do?
So playing freely, when you get nervous, when you get in your head, when you put all that pressure on yourself, you tend not to hit as hard. You watch balls go by you, and you're like, oh, I should have gone for that. And so that whole thing is kind of like, if you play freely, you're going for every ball, you're hitting every ball through, and you're just pushing yourself to keep going, because, you don't really have any of that pressure to, stop and, oh, what's happening now, so.
And then, as a guy who got that experience last year, maybe for some of the players who maybe got to go down but didn't get to play last year, or some of the guys that are new to the team this year, how you kind of tried to coach them up a little bit, be a leader on this team and try and impart your wisdom from last year on them?
So on the younger players, I've really tried to iterate that. Like even when you go on the court and you start losing a match, that during a match, like the first thing is like the match isn't really over until it's over. Like a lot of people when they go down, it kind of gets in your head like, oh no. But there's been so many examples of comebacks when someone's down like 6-0 and then like it's like 5-0 and people have still come back to win matches. So a match is never really over till it's over. And then like off the court, like during practice, it's kind of like that thing, like that mentality of pushing everyone and pushing yourself. So even if you're having a bad day at practice, like don't get down on yourself because that brings other people down too. So if you like keep yourself up, it keeps everybody up and we keep going forward.
Well, just talk about what it's like to make the state as both an individual and as a team this year for you.
I mean, it's just a good feeling making it to state as a sophomore both years. There's a lot of good kids making it there. It's a tough time at individual state. There's a lot of kids. Both kids I played were very good. And it's just a great feeling making it to state twice, 2 years in a row as a freshman and sophomore. It's a good feeling.
Given that that is kind of a historic thing for Cedar Falls going back-to-back years as a team, what did it take from you guys to put that together as a team?
I mean, we were missing a lot of players at a lot of different meets. I just step up, play number one at a lot of meets, and at the end it just all came together and the pieces fit together and we just made it.
In a sport that's typically considered to be kind of individualized and you're kind of playing by yourself for the team, how do you cultivate a team culture and a team atmosphere?
I mean, practice just really helps. We all get along really well together. We always practice with each other. Everyone just gets along and just have a good bonding with each other.
Given that solid bond, what's being able to extend your guys' season an extra week? What's been the motivating force behind that, I guess? Has it been the team culture? Has it been just a lot of competitiveness among the guys? Just talk a little bit about what's motivated you guys to get there.
I mean, we're all very competitive. We come out after practice, hit at nighttime with each other. We're always willing to hit with each other, and it just pushes a step farther to get us there.
Given you guys got back there last year and hadn't been for a while, what does that experience do for you going again this year, where last year you didn't have that experience, this year you do have that experience? What do you think that's going to change?
I mean, we just know what it's like going to state this year. We should be a little bit more comfortable with it. We got to play the 1 seed, but things can happen. We can make a change.
Is there a chip on your guys' shoulder going up against the 1 seed 2 years in a row?
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. We just got to power through it though and use that competitiveness and try to get wins.